That passes. Item number 4 is from Financial Management. Second addendum to the guarantee agreement between Cowlitz County and Love Overwhelming. Ms. Harris.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Trina Harris, the Budget Analyst for the Office of Financial Management. Today we have the addendum to renew the emergency shelter for Love Overwhelming. This contract was cut 10% from what they proposed, just like all the rest of the document recording fees. This contract has also taken into consideration the City of Kelso's concerns with items such as continued use of security cameras, an outreach person for the community, and having posted policies and procedures that dangerous weapons and use of drugs on premises are not to be permitted. And I have personally seen that those things are in place on there. It is a renewal from last year, and I did have Caleb Luther from Love Overwhelming here to give you an update on that, if you would like to hear.
Yes, please.
Right.
Okay, Caleb Luther.
Name and address for the record, please.
Thank you. Caleb Luther, 1547 Orchid Court, Longview, Washington. I'm the program coordinator at Love Overwhelming, so I have a pretty unique perspective. I manage the staff, and I'm in charge of all disciplinary action for any of our service recipients as well. So I have a kind of a ground level perspective as well as leadership perspective at the same time. So hopefully I can bring some of that perspective today to some of the things people have said in the past and continue to say. I want to be candid to start and just be very transparent that bringing a shelter and continuing a shelter in a community brings an increase in police presence and emergency services, no doubt about it. But there's more to the story than that often. I have a personal friend who found himself homeless and in our shelter. He was dealing with a brain tumor, and we had to call emergency services 20 times in a matter of a week for him alone. We are often first responders for people who are having serious mental health and physical health concerns that they would be having anyway, and instead of them out in the community alone, they're in our shelter where we can take care of them quickly and call emergency services when needed. That's one of the things that has been said about us is the increased police presence. We've talked to other shelters. We've gotten technical assistance from Olympia, Clark County, DESC in Seattle, which is one of the nation's leaders in best practices, and they all face the same thing. There's an increase in emergency services when you concentrate that many people with significant problems in one place. It's also been said of us that we fast-track people towards Social Security benefits who maybe shouldn't be receiving them. I looked this morning at 2015. We helped 4 people apply for Social Security in 2015. So that's kind of an unfounded claim as well. It's also been said we attract people from out of county, and as we've talked with technical assistance from the other counties that I mentioned, we heard that they get the same response from their community as well. They say, "Oh, you guys hear that too? We are constantly being told we're attracting people from out of county." It's something that people will go to another county if there's another resource in it, but it happens everywhere. It's been said there's no enforcement of our rules. I'm available every business day at 8:30 to meet with service recipients who have been suspended. Just last week I had to suspend someone for a year. It was very sad for me to do that because it wasn't necessarily just his bad behavior, but significant mental health issues that he was experiencing. But when he became a danger to my staff, I had to suspend him. Oftentimes, I think it's better for those people to be in the shelter where we can monitor their behavior and help them access services, but in his case, we had to send him on his way. Drugs and alcohol specifically are extremely highly prohibited at our shelter, and we continue to enforce those, as Katrina said, with upgraded security system, which will be in place soon. We currently have cameras, but we're going to upgrade them and install more.
Okay. So, time.
Yeah. Time, okay. Thank you.
Right. Mr. Von Rock.
Rick Von Rock, 400 North, Kelso. So I live in Kelso. I kind of know what's going on down there. My only question is, I know he says they don't allow usage of drugs when in the facility, which is fine. But what about people that are already on drugs? How does that play out within the facility?
I think the Homeless First model has said that the idea is to get people in and get them treatment. So people who are already on drugs are allowed to go into the shelter and use the shelter.
Okay, so it's kind of like, in a sense, they're trying to help them, but it's kind of like it could be a drug haven in the middle of Kelso. Just wanted to mention that. As I'm looking at it, as I've talked to other citizens in Kelso, their concerns on it.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's certainly why there's an increased security presence, and that's been a big change since the opening days. I know that we have also received comments from the City of Kelso that they appreciate the progress that's been made. The number of calls have declined pretty dramatically, and the level of cooperation between Love Overwhelming and the police department has improved. Those are just very appropriate as we try to deal with a very difficult population with programs that try to break the cycle of homelessness. I remember reading an article last summer from the Daily News in which the article celebrated the success of a gentleman who had turned his life around through the Salvation Army. And then, of course, that's a great cause for celebration anytime somebody can make that turnaround. But embedded in the article, about 2/3 of the way down, was a comment by that person's case manager that in the previous 15 years of homelessness, that individual had absorbed about $500,000 in social services, either going in and out of jail and all the prosecutions and jail activities going, or in and out of emergency rooms. And of course, if you can't pay in our emergency room, everybody else pays the bill for you, usually through higher insurance costs. So for me, it comes down to, can we afford to continue spending that high level of emergency response to individuals who need treatment? Or do we try to short-circuit that whole expenditure problem with treatment now? And that starts with housing first for the chronically homeless. That doesn't mean housing first is the answer for all homeless people, because there are different levels of seriousness and acute challenges. For example, one of the best programs in town, Community House on Broadway, does a wonderful job working with families that have suffered economic dislocations. Their needs are different than those who are caught up with severe mental health and substance abuse disorders. I had hoped all along through the discussions that we would be able to reach a point where we could make sure that both programs are supported. And I was very surprised this weekend to find out that Community House has decided to liberate themselves from taxpayer subsidies. And I say liberate because now they don't have to worry about following all those rules and regulations. I think perhaps that is going to be the best way to make sure that a program like Community Health can continue to thrive and do what they do well, and we can continue to support the programs that really get to the chronically ill, the chronically homeless. Hopefully it's the best combination. Again, very complex, very difficult to monitor, and I'm hoping that as time goes on, we're going to be able to get the data that says those $500,000 expenditures have been reduced. With that in mind, I would like to make a motion that we approve the second addendum.
I'd like to put it to public comment.
You'll get the opportunity.
Why can't I do it before you put in any motion to it?
Commissioner Weber has the floor. He can put the motion in.
Commissioner Weber, can I not give my public comment before you make any motion?
Make the motion. You're in the process.
I'll go ahead and make the motion. You'll be able to talk afterwards. So I move that we approve the second addendum to the grantee agreement between Cowlitz County and Love Overwhelming for Cowlitz County Homeless Grant Program regarding emergency low barrier shelter, additional funding in the amount of $194,756 for the period of January 1st, 2016 through December 31st, 2016. That does represent a 43% decrease in funding for the homeless programs that Love Overwhelming is providing, but it does make the improvements that we've requested for their shelter operations.
All right. Anybody else wish to speak?
That's me.
All right. Come forward. Name and address for the record, please. 3 minutes.
My name is Curtis Hart. My address is 115 Williams Avenue in Kelso, Washington. First of all, I would like to say I find it absolutely disgusting, and it's complete malarkey that you would go ahead and do what you just did before taking all the public comments into account. I would like to just clarify some of Caleb's remarks. He claimed that there isn't that big of an increase in the shelter. When the women's shelter was in the exact same place in a course of a year, it had 11 calls. Okay? Level overwhelming, it had 13 calls. Sorry. In 11 months, level overwhelming had 440. That is a definite increase, and saying that it's not is an absolute lie. Excuse me, you can do a records request with the police just like we did, and we'll be happy to provide that with you to know that that is in fact a true statement. Okay, he mentioned that he removed somebody once they were a danger to his staff, and I find it absolutely repugnant that he would wait until it's a danger to just his staff, because he did, in fact, if you look at the public records request and the police reports, there was a random fingering inside of the kitchen. It happened twice. They decided not to do anything about it because they knew the person was crazy. It's in the report. Okay? Kelso, while they might have said, good job on what they're doing, they also sent you a letter saying to defund level overwhelming. So I would just like to point that out. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
May I respond to that? You already had 30 seconds.
No, that's fine. We understand the position. We have a motion.
I think we had another hand up, too.
All right. Mr. Dreyer.
Richard Dreyer, 2235 Longview. I'd like to make a few short comments. We had Mr. Luther at our Longview Fiber Retirements Group talking about his program. Without endorsing or disapproving his program, I would like to note my appreciation of the commissioners supporting these type of programs. These type of clients with mental health issues and drug issues and other issues tend to irritate our general population, and I recognize that these clients are very expensive to treat, and I appreciate the county supporting these programs.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak? Yes.
Betsy Sully, 4231 Ocean.
Well, get to the microphone, please.
Good morning, Commissioners. Betsy Sully. I am a staff member at Love Overwhelming, residing at 4231 Ocean Beach Highway in Longview.
Hey, no more.
You need to do your job then.
I heard her address. The clerk heard her address.
Don't talk to me like that.
Any more, and you're going to leave, sir.
Okay, well, you need to...
Any more, and you're going to leave.
For the record.
We have it for the record. Any more, you're going to leave. Do you understand that? All right, go ahead, ma'am.
Sorry. Well, I just wanted to clarify that Caleb Luther had not stated that there had been a decrease in emergency health services. We're well aware that there's been quite a lot, and that, again, it goes back to those emergency services and a lot of physical illness issues for that. Secondly, we do have a lot of opponents, and our opponents are welcome to come to the shelter, to visit, to tour, to volunteer, and to meet with staff. And one point I'd like to make is a lot of people who have been opponents in this community who do come to Love Overwhelming and meet with the staff and tour the facility and get involved end up really turning around their viewpoint on it. And so I just wanted to welcome opponents to come on in and visit with us. Thank you.
All right, anybody else wish to speak? You had your opportunity, sir.
Okay, well, I did go to your shelter, and I did sign in.
Hey, sir,
Yes.
out.
Okay, well, have a sheriff come remove me.
We're recessed. I expect you to be out of here when we come back. We will reconvene. Sorry for the disruption, but there is appropriate decorum in a meeting, and I expect that that will be what we have. So, does anybody else wish to speak on item number 4? All right, we do have a motion. I would like to thank staff for their hard work on this. The commissioners also have been meeting on a regular basis with the city of Kelso, the mayor, the city manager, and the police chief to work out the issues, and we will continue to meet with them to make sure that Love Overwhelming does meet the expectations of the city of Kelso. So thanks again to the staff for working on this and getting those included in the contract. We do have a motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
I also vote aye. That passes. Moving on.